Welcome to the Toke&Trans. What do I say? Welcome to the Toke&Trans podcast, where we talk life, love, and getting high. Grab a J and join us. We do not condone the consumption of illicit activities with anyone under the age of 21. Welcome to the Toke&Trans podcast, everybody. It's Bo and Aaron here again.
What's going on, everybody?
How are we doing?
I'm having a good day over here in Tennessee. It's pretty hot, so I'm staying inside, but I'm trying to stay cool. I can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see Bo's glorious watermelon flag or fan. You're definitely gonna have to see that if you're not on the YouTube, because that is glorious, my guy. We're staying cool, summer heat, and we wanted to talk to you guys today about our experiences and the challenges of being trans in the workplace, being trans at work. Man, there's a lot of layers to that. And it's a dance. It's a delicate dance. So we wanted to make an episode to talk about what that looked like for us, what got us through it, how it can help you get through it, because everybody's got to make that money, man. You got to get that hustle going. You got to go to work, got to get that bread, and
got to get that bread, boys.
Oh, so I mean, I want to make sure that we can at least help in the ways that we can get you out there, because I know that it can be tough, even just the thought of starting to apply for a job in general, let alone thinking about the workspace after. So
yeah,
that's a lot.
I love starting with applications. That's a good idea. I think we should start with applying for jobs as a trans person.
Absolutely.
Specifically as an out trans person.
Right.
That I think that we should specify that that's what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Navigating in the closet would be a totally different thing that I don't personally have the experience with.
Right.
But what I can say about applying while trans is that it is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Easier in that, so like I've always been very openly trans, and sometimes that's the first thing I tell someone about me,
right,
because it's relevant, right, because it's relevant to what I need to, like in dating apps or whatever. I'm like, I'm trans. I don't have bottom surgery. I have you know what I mean? Like, right. I am straightforward. Right. If I'm not going to waste my time. Yeah. So when applying to a job that I'm not sure is accepting of trans people or not, it's the first thing I'm going to mention in the if I get an interview or in the application. And one of the first things that can make that clear, in my experience, a lot of places didn't have a preferred name.
Yeah,
section.
That's the first stumble every time. What's your name? Man, I can't. We just started this paper and I can't even answer number one. So yeah.
So what I always did was, of course, they mean if there isn't a preferred name section, the name that they need is your legal one. If you haven't had a legal name change and you don't go by that name, or you consider your legal name to be your dead name and you don't want to be referred to by it, that was my case. I would put in my legal name in the name section, and in parentheses in the same line, I would say preferred name Bo.
Yes.
And
I didn't write preferred name. I just put in parentheses, but that makes sense, because you're explicitly saying this is my preferred name. It's not just like my middle name or some. Yeah, no, I like that.
Right. Yeah. Because if you just said Bo, then they would think that to be like an alias for.
I see. Yeah.
Background checks.
I can see.
You know what I mean?
Smart.
So that's why I put preferred name, because that's also like a term that you see when learning about gender affirming or learning about trans people. You learn about preferred name and pronouns. Now, regardless of the argument, whether it is preferred or like mandatory, we're not getting into that. But that was just something that helped me express to the employer that I am trans. Now, whether that meant that I lost jobs that I applied to because they saw that and were like, we
Sure.
don't want this. I
Sure.
don't know because
Yeah.
I wasn't contacted by those people. But
Right.
I do know that I wouldn't want that job anyway if that was the
Exactly.
case.
You naturally weeded them out on your own
Right.
by being like, this
And
is, yeah, I could see that.
right. And as a trans individual, sometimes you have just inherent skills that are relevant to the job position. You know,
Absolutely.
maybe you're
Yeah.
applying to be a camp counselor or something like that, and you're like, I can be inclusive, I can navigate like
Relate.
big emotions, right? I can
Yeah.
relate, like stuff
Absolutely.
like that. And so you could be like, as a trans individual, I have these skills. And that's also another way to put that in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, just say that I'm a valuable person because I'm offering you diversity and
Right.
also good work ethic if you provide
Absolutely.
me with the environment to be accepted and feel safe at. And you know, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it is. And it takes a lot of strength to do that and to say that, to walk in and be like, this is how it is. This is what we're going to do here. And
Oh
this
my
is
God,
how you,
yeah.
this is how you will respect me, or then I will have to leave if I'm not able to have that inclusive, at least tolerable work environment. 1,000%. No, I've been that literally token trans guy for someone working, like working for someone where, like, you know, they're able to say, I don't hate trans people, I hired a trans. You know, I was literally in the room when he said that out loud, and I'm like, what are we doing here, buddy? Like, and there was just so much negativity and things, but you don't know those when you're just signing up. You don't know if it's going to be a very inclusive environment, or you don't know if it's going to be really complicated to navigate that space. So yeah, I would definitely start by, I like your idea of naturally weeding out those places that, as much as you can, you know, for them to call you because they, you know, they may notice or see that you're trans on the application, and then something like that is already, you know, easier for them to process, and you're already both on the same page about it.
Right. And like you said, that it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do that, especially if it's like, if it's your first time, if you're new to your gender identity,
right,
and being trans, if this is your first time being trans, if you haven't identified as trans for a really long time,
right,
and this is your first time applying for jobs as a trans person with a new name, with a new set of pronouns, right, it's so fucking scary. And trust me, I know, but this is, you know, and I say it a lot, you know, because I feel like tough love is important sometimes.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Yeah.
Life is harder when you're trans.
It's true.
And you're going to have to do some fucking hard shit. If you want to be comfortable, you're going to have to do some fucking hard shit.
You're going to have to demand the comfort. You're going
to have to demand it.
Yeah. And it's not easy or comfortable, especially when you're like an introverted person, or you don't want to be having these conversations in the first place. I'm here to make some money. I'm here because I'm good at what I do. I'm not here because I want you to just check your box that you hired a trans person and you're good to go. Like, I want to be valued for more than that. And when you applied, did you ever have to, were you out as like presenting as female and then switch to your preferred name in the same job? Or was it like, I was at this job known as this, and then at my new job, I was like, this is when I'm starting?
Yeah. I did have the same job when it happened. Mm-hmm. So when I first got hired at Michael's as a framer, I went by Lennon, and I didn't, you know, it was just Lennon.
Yeah.
You know, to my coworkers, sometimes they use they, them, but it was like they didn't. And during this time was also when I started being okay with he, him.
Yeah.
It was at this point I was like, as long as it's not she, her, I don't give a fuck.
Right. Anything is better than that.
Right. But I was still, you know, I hadn't started hormones or anything yet. And I wasn't expecting to not get misgendered.
Right.
But then I started taking hormones. I started feeling more comfortable using the men's room. Started shifting to more he him, like permanently, and then I changed my name to Bo because Lennon just wasn't feeling.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling he him and Lennon because I was they them and Lennon. I just needed, and it just wasn't working for me.
Right.
So I was working at this Michael's as Lennon, and I just decided to not bother with telling them my name change because I feel like it would have been way too confusing for the cis people who don't understand.
Yeah. You didn't want to
I'm like,
yeah.
Let me not make it hard for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
fucking
So you just left the name.
I was just like whatever and
Over it.
Over it. And then I got a promotion and moved to a different store. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, now's my chance.
Yeah,
so,
this is where I'm going in. Yeah.
Right. So
how'd you go about that?
When I had my entrance interview, I was like, yes, you guys know me as Lennon. It's not Lennon anymore, it's Bo.
My name's Bo.
And these are my pronouns. And it was a new store, new people. I never met these people before. So it was a totally fresh start. I was lucky that I had that. And it came at a pretty good time because I wasn't Lennon at that store for too long.
Yeah.
Probably less than a year.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. And the store that I moved to, I just want to say that all my coworkers and fellow employees were super supportive of me.
That's so dope.
And never misgendered me on purpose, or like if it was an accident, they were quick to correct it and
yeah,
would correct customers if they were around. Like just good people. Good folk. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good place to work.
That's good.
So when I got promoted and moved to the different store, my manager at the time was an ace queer lesbian.
Okay, let's go.
And I was like, fuck it, bet. And so at this point,
thank God for you. You're like,
yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I love her so much. We're still friends. We still talk. Yes. I'm friends with her and her girlfriend. I love them so much. And actually, she came out to me pretty recently, that she said her pronouns are he, her, like he, her, like a donkey.
Oh my God.
like
I've never heard
okay
it before. Oh my gosh.
Like he's okay with either gendered, but he, her, like a donkey.
I've never heard it put that way before, ever.
Fucking killed me. Neither have I. It was so fucking funny. So anyway, I felt super safe there, and at this point I started using the men's room, but I'm still like, I haven't started HRT yet, and I'm still menstruating, and there's no sanitary trash can in the stall.
It's exhausting.
And my manager is a big cis man, that man. But you know what? He was the best manager I've ever had. He was fucking ride or die for his employees. He always stood up for us. He was just understanding to a fault. He made it a great work environment. It was always smiling, always cheering us on. It was so great. So I was like, hey, Bernard, we got to talk. Can we go to the office? So we went to the office and he's like, hey, what's up? Smiling like he does.
Here we go. All right.
And I'm like, hey, Bernard, do you know how I'm trans? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I was also born a woman, like I was born with like ovaries and stuff. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm just saying that like I use the men's room. And he's like, I got you.
He got it. You didn't even have to.
He got it. I didn't have to do nothing. And he went to Walmart, was in the same park. And he went to Walmart that day, like during my shift, grabbed a little trash can.
Yeah.
And fucking put it in the trash and fucking just put it in the stall. That's all he had to do.
What a guy.
And you know what?
So simple.
It was the framer's job to like take out the trash in the bathroom and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, when I would take the trash out, it wasn't just like my trash in there.
Yeah.
It was like other people's trash, like candy wrappers and shit, and like
Yeah,
when they blow their nose, they put instead
sure.
of flush it, they put it down there. But you know,
Yeah.
there was
Wow.
all kinds of trash in there, so it wasn't like nobody was like, why is there a trash can in the men's room?
Well,
Why is there
yeah.
bloody shit? Why is there
Yeah.
pads
No.
wrappers in the trash cans? They don't do
Yeah.
that.
No. Yeah. No, they go on with their day. No, that is so dope that they just put it straight in there, like that fast, ready to go. What an
Yeah,
experience. That's
it was
remarkable.
really great.
I I had my first experience coming out at like in the workplace was a really positive one. I was in Oregon, so I was in a lot more of a inclusive, like positive environment for queer people, and
Mm-hmm.
specifically in Eugene. So it was like very, very positive. And at the time I had gotten the job by my dead name, and everyone knew me by my dead name and she, her pronouns. And then when I want after a couple years of processing these feelings and was like talking with who I was dating at the time and talking with like my old friends and my, my family and stuff. And after I came to the conclusion that I wanted to come out publicly, I I had came out to my girlfriend, and she was using my pronouns, my name and pronouns, but that was it. So like I didn't have any like friends that I had told or family that I had told. And the place that I was working was called Kid Sports, which is pretty much like an alternative to YMCA. So it was just like another one that was in Eugene. It was a really small like company. It was like probably like 10, 15 max employees. And it was a really positive experience. I told them, I went in there and was like, look, I'm trans. I'm like changing my name. I brought someone. I went and talked to the person that I felt like most comfortable with in administration, and they were really positive about it. They asked me how I wanted to go about it, and they had suggested for it to be included in an email, and I was like, I liked that idea. I liked the idea of just like putting it in with the weekly things, like, by the way, we have a name update. Like, I was just like, whatever, throw it
Yeah.
in there, like, all at once. I don't have to have those conversations every single time, and
Yes.
we were in a place where people actually read those things. And so it was really nice, and it was a really smooth transition, and it made it to where I was so pumped to go to work, because it was like another space that wasn't like just my girlfriend that was calling me and being affirming, and I was able to like use my name and my pronouns, and like everybody did like a wonderful shift and things. It was a very, queer, you could tell there were other people like me in the business, which was nice and helpful. I think even one of the sponsors, like the big sponsors, was a queer person. So it was a very positive environment, and that gave me the confidence to be able to, write more confidently on there, like my name, my dead name, and then in parentheses my real name. And then I did the same thing as you when I came into interviews and things after I left that job. It was just immediately exclusive, like telling them I'm trans. That's why the name things, my paperwork's going to say something different. Don't call me that. Don't let anybody know that name. Like, that's not what we're
Yeah.
doing here. Because they're not always a lot of positive experiences like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been called like all kinds of names by employees that were working with me at McDonald's and things, that were just like, here in Tennessee, that were just like calling me a bunch of like random, like it was like even it was one of the gay guys on the not one of them, it was just a gay guy, the only gay guy I could tell. But here in Tennessee, there, we try to stick together, and so it was kind of interesting to have that person be the one that was calling me these names and things, that I was like, even other people were like, out of everybody in this story, you're going to be the one that's talking all this shit and stuff. So that was,
Yeah.
I've definitely had some like, no, it wasn't like a physical altercation, but definitely verbal, to where I had to just kind of leave. So it didn't become that situation, but it's not always easy to navigate, because they're a lot of times they're not the only person that feels that way. And then you're at work, like, who can I really trust?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thankfully I haven't, well, ooh, let's bring it up. So I've worked in several different Michael's locations.
Mhm.
Um, and most of them were fantastic.
Wow.
With no problems. But I had a manager, one of them, who boy, she was something else. She she said to my face once, if you don't vote for Trump, you're an idiot, knowing exactly
The whole
who I
thing.
am
Yeah, the
and what
whole
he was
situation.
doing. Yeah. She would dead name me over the phone in conference calls to the
Oh,
entire
oh my God.
district. And then when she did it, she would just like pat me on the back. Like, I guess
Sorry.
that was her attempt at like, oh, sorry, bud,
Sorry, I had to.
Um, yeah, she was very,
Yeah.
very condescending and very rude. And so, I'm just, there's sucky people. And
Yeah.
uh I didn't report her.
Hmm.
Honestly, it sounds so fucking dramatic when I say that she was abusive.
Yeah.
It sounds so dramatic. Like, oh, did your boss abuse you? She was a little mean. It wasn't that. She fucking I would get in I would be the only framer because we don't have any employees. I would be the only framer. She came back from vacation, scuba diving in fucking like Aruba or some shit, and come back and be mad that I'm only 2 weeks behind when it's a miracle that I'm not 4 weeks behind when
Right.
I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Working my ass to the bone, working 16-hour days, working
Yeah.
fucking 7 days a week, working fucking coming
Right.
in whenever you call me. Like,
Yeah.
just
A lot of times
the
in
worst.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times in the workplace that like there's this need for there to be just this I work harder than you, like I work more hours or I work this, and it's such like a negative space that like
Yes.
it seems like more recently, at least in the business circles that I follow online and the ones that I choose to be involved in are way more like positivity focused and like kindness and like equaling soft skills to hard skills. Anyone can learn hard skills like how to use different platforms. You can teach yourself. You can do a lot. You can take courses. A lot of times, your workplace can do those courses for you to get better. But it's the soft skills like being kind and like practicing like positivity and like not in all of those situations, like choosing to be more kind about it, like your manager wasn't doing in that situation. I'm thankful that it seems that things are at least kind of shifting more towards the work environment and prioritizing employees, especially post COVID, needing employees so bad. But and at the same time, I'm thankful because I'm hoping that will translate for life being easier for trans and queer people in the workspace, because those soft skills are like basic human decency now
Yeah.
being prioritized in the workplace. And it's not everywhere. People are still trying to grow businesses with old tactics like that, like hard numbers and the numbers matter most and like those types of things. So I am encouraged by the soft skills that like seem to be slowly but surely integrated into business, but I still think we're a ways away from that being like an average or a like usual thing for you to come across.
Hmm. I do think that maybe I I felt like I needed to do more because I was the only trans employee, and
Right.
I feel like in those situations it's unfortunate, and I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel like in those situations I represent the entire trans community.
Right.
And
Yeah.
especially when there's a hard ass fucking obvious transphobe that is your manager, and she the only time she would ever say anything good about me was when I was working myself to the bone.
Right.
When I fucking
Miserable.
when I sliced my hand open and sealed it up with super glue and kept working.
Right.
Like,
Like that's what we're
didn't
demanding.
file a claim or anything like that. Like that was what I got a bone thrown at me for, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so much pressure, and it feels like so much pressure. It feels like a lot, but you know, you don't represent all of us.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
feel like
represent all of
all
us.
of those, I feel so often like coworkers see us as like one, they're like, oh, you're the only trans person I know. So you're going to be you're going to represent all of these people of all these different fluid, like spectrums of identities. You're going to represent every single one of them.
Yeah,
They'll ask you, sometimes you can be asked on questions that are uncomfortable and things. So it's important to know that like you do have rights and protections as a trans person, as a person in general in the workplace. I am not like versed in all those legal protections and crap. And but I can tell you that we do have protections, and I can tell you that like that's why places that have HR departments in place have them in place for that specific reason, because the workplace environment, they prioritize workplace environment. A lot of times if they have one of those, especially at a bigger business like Michael's, there's always going to
yeah.
be someone assigned to that and stuff. So
And there
definitely,
was, and
yeah,
I should have. I never reported
right.
this manager to HR when I really should have, because I felt like I felt like it would have been obvious who said something,
Right, yeah, it's
even
just
though it's
me.
anonymous. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially if I mentioned something about being misgendered or something and I'm the only
yeah,
trans. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
like,
Not anonymous anymore, no.
right. So even
Yeah,
though they say it's anonymous, I felt like that it was putting a target on my back and I didn't.
right.
But
Yeah.
I should have. I should have.
Yeah. So if you're in like one of those situations, please, I seriously encourage you to talk to like your HR department, research the laws in your areas, get involved and things like that. Like, because at the end of the day, this is a job, right? Like at the end, like at the end of your shift that ends and you have to live for the rest of the day, the rest of the next, until your next one as authentically, and you want to be as happy and as possible. That happiness of what you do after work is like it's a big reflection of how you feel from your workplace. So like I would just encourage you to make sure that you're like standing up for what you feel like. And you may feel like I'm the only person here. This is like, I'm the only one that's experiencing this. So if I report it, it's really just me complaining. But like, you don't know if there's other trans people or other queer people that have been feeling that same thing. So if you do have a situation where you feel like you can come comfortably and talk to an HR person or things like that, I definitely encourage you to do so. And it's not easy and it's not simple, and it's not gonna take not bravery. I don't know what the heck that is. What is that? It's not gonna take not bravery.
Courage.
It's gonna take, yeah, it's gonna take
It's gonna
courage.
take. It's going to
Exactly.
take bravery.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna have to just find it out of somewhere, because you deserve to be in a better place than that. And if you don't feel comfortable like talking that out with someone that you work with in uncomfortable situations like that, or they don't have a system set up for you to be able to communicate those things, look for a different job. Like there are
Yeah.
so many different jobs. There's so much money in this world, in these businesses that is circulating around, that you just like you have to try somewhere else. Like, you need to maintain and prioritize your mental health and being alive, because that's like the
Mhm.
most important. That's more valuable than your job title or how much money that you're making.
And who's to say that you saying those things isn't going to implement great change in your
Yeah.
job? Maybe they just didn't know. Maybe you're the first trans employee they had, and it takes you speaking up to have them be like, "Oh, duh, like that makes sense now that you're telling us this, but we've never had any complaints, so we had no reason to change these things." And
Right.
then now your job is more comfortable for you and also any future trans people. Also, you've educated everyone. So
Right.
like I actually have a story. I worked at Michael's.
Hmm.
They didn't have a system that would show your preferred name on thame that were printed out. So
Right.
like my name on
Instant
the
dead.
schedule,
Instant. Oh, yeah.
my name on the schedule, my name, and also as a framer, when you place an order with when someone places an order with you, they get a printout of a little sample of their framings, like what they picked out, the receipt and all that, and it says who your framer is.
Right.
But it wasn't my preferred name, so then I would
Cashiers, you
have
get them on the
to
receipt. Yeah.
right. So then I would have to scribble it out or use a whiteout tape pen and write Bo on it,
Oh,
which looked like
and,
shit. Like this
right.
person just dropped $400 on a design from
Yeah.
me, and I'm scribbling all over. Like, what the fuck is that? It looks
It's not
bad.
professional. Yeah.
Right. So the district manager came and was saying, and I'm like, look at
They have
this.
to agree.
Doesn't this look unprofessional? Doesn't
Yeah.
this look sloppy? Can we please do something about this?
Yeah.
And also the schedule. Like, I really don't want anybody to know what that name is.
Yeah.
The only person that should know what that name is the manager, because they hired me and
they
also
write
have to
my
issue my
checks.
paycheck.
Exactly.
And speaking of that, I don't want anybody seeing my paycheck laying eyes on it unless it's the manager or me.
Right.
So,
So that also has to be protected. Yeah.
those things changed
Mhm.
very shortly
Yeah.
after I started complaining directly to the district manager about them. Did
Yeah.
they change? But then I didn't have to scribble it out anymore, and I didn't have to worry about my name on the schedule anymore. It said Bo. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Bro, for that big of a, and if that's a big business, that's a lot of employees that now get to have that, like, get to benefit from that, and from you having that courage and doing that. Like, that means a lot. And I also think that it can encourage, like, making a better workplace environment, or at least putting that on the burner somewhere with managers, in the sense of, like, it can, like, do on, like, they're thinking, like, hey, like, we don't want to have a lawsuit in this situation. Maybe we should prioritize some, like, online trainings, or, like, maybe we should, like, think about, which employees that we hire, and make sure that they actually give a fuck about people, and prioritize how they're, those types of things, when thinking about those things, when hiring people, and create, like, because they are in charge of creating that environment, right? So, like, that's super cool that you did that, in order for, like, other people to be able to, because you don't know what other people are going to benefit from those changes that you made.
right. Exactly. Yeah. So now anybody doesn't have to worry about that. And it also, that system also helped our CIS employees too, because there were so many women that I worked with who would do framing or whatever. Like, Margaret didn't go by Margaret. Her name was Peggy, and she hated that it was Margaret on the form when she helped.
Yeah.
She fucking hated that shit. She would scribble it out and say Peggy. Like,
yeah. Yeah, we're not the only people here. No.
Yeah.
And those, I think, in making those types of environments more comfortable is what makes trans people be able to thrive and be able to feel confident and comfortable, because they're not worried about being misgendered. They're not worried about the paperwork that's coming out over here, and that's also on their brain while they're doing all of their tasks and half of somebody else's tasks, all while having the line out the door. Like, that, those types of things make a big difference, where trans people can thrive and be able to be mad successful, and have, and impact mad lives, and be mad good framers, and mad good, designers, and things like that. Like, so I do think that creating those environments is so prioritized, or needs to be so prioritized. I just got back from a business conference in Indianapolis, like a month or two ago, where I follow this entrepreneur, and there was it was called VCon, and the whole place was just so focused on the, like, soft skills being prioritized, and there's like people coming to speak about these things like Drew Barrymore and like a bunch of like there's so many names I can't even, but there was just so many amazing, incredible like speakers. Drew Barrymore is just one of our favorites. But there was just so focused and prioritizing the positivity aspect and the soft skills of just being a kind person and having general conversation and like utilizing these different types of skills in the workplace, and actually realizing that is like ROI positive. Like you will make money back on that by
Oh
creating those
yeah.
environments. And because then people, customers feel that when they walk in the door, they can feel if everyone's just like, F you, F this, I'm ready, I'm ready to go, I'm not valued here, none of these things. Customers see that, and that makes a money, that at least makes a monetary difference. And that's what's starting to change the gears of these people that are like in the behind the big aspects of business, like making these big decisions, usually based on only about money. And now they're starting to see soft skills equals money, and they're like the brains that can't, for some reason, like even analyze the thought of what, like doing something that didn't immediately make money back. Now they're able to see that is ROI positive, and that's making more money, which makes it more of a priority for everybody's list, because the business is all about making more money. So even then, it would be good for those things, for us to be able to thrive in those spaces too.
Yeah. I can attest to that directly. I made an hourly wage. I wasn't based off of commission or anything like that. So there weren't really any like monetary incentives to like make big sales or big designs and stuff like that. Besides the fact that, I was also certified preservationist. So some things are better for preservation sake or whatever. But anyway, I was really good at my job, and I would continuously crush my sales goal. Like crush it. Like leave it in the flipping dust. Like double, triple it consistently, because I'm just good with fucking people and I connect with them. I'm an empath. Like, and a lot of the things, I mean, as a framer, it was a very emotionally demanding job. A lot of the things these people want framed are very precious.
Heirlooms and
a lock of their baby's hair that didn't make it. A christening gown, like
grandma's things. Sure.
Right. Your grandma's funeral portrait. Right. So many funeral portraits I've done. Like these are precious things to these people that they're surrendering to me, handing over $500.
Right. You have to emotionally match that to make me feel comfortable.
Trust me. Right. Yeah. In our half-hour interaction, you have to know that I cherish this thing just as much as you do. I'm going to do exactly what you want. I'm going to do right by you, and you're going to love it.
Because I'm handing it to you.
Right. And I've getting rewarded, getting praised for doing good work, making emotional connections and feeling safe at my job makes me want to do those things more.
Right.
My boss would sometimes he knew my coffee order. He would just buy me coffee.
That's so
and
sweet.
Gender me correctly. Yeah. And I'm making him thousands of dollars, because I'm working hard at my job, because I feel safe. And I also know that my coworkers will protect me should a customer get a little fucking froggy. And they have.
Yeah.
I've been harassed at work while I'm trying to help somebody, and I just stopped. I just stopped helping. I didn't say anything, and I walked to the back. Right. And then I'm on the radio, and I'm like, Bernard, I need you to come I need you to do this guy. I can't do it.
I'm not doing this guy. No. Yeah.
He came right to this guy. He came right to that guy. And you know what? I'm not to call him out or anything. This happened, allegedly.
Allegedly. This might
allegedly.
Word on the street is
allegedly. So the program that we use auto-populates with the same frame and the same single mat just as like a starting point, and then you click on it and change it, and then you can click on the mat and change it. It's just like what it is. But the starting frame is super expensive. It is one of the options. Like some people like that frame and they go with it, but it's super expensive. And this guy was just really rude to me, and he just he had a standard size poster, which it was 24 by 36. We had lots of shelf frames that were 24 by 36 and it could just fit in, but he was being an ass to me. So I couldn't help him anymore. So he's at the custom framing counter. And so instead of Bernard being like, oh, that's 24 by 36, this guy expressed that he didn't want to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's instead of Bernard, allegedly, instead of Bernard being like, well, you could just get a 24 by 36 on the shelf and be done with it. Allegedly, he put it into custom framing with that and he was like, all right, it's going to be $300 and something. And the guy just paid it.
Well, then screw it. You know what
allegedly.
I mean?
And then allegedly, Bernard came in the back and was like, I took care of it. Like,
I handled it, bro.
He tossed the frame, like the order form at me to have me look at the price or whatever. And he was like, you don't mess with my employees. You don't mess with my employees.
Oh my gosh. That is.
And I was like, oh, shut up. You did not.
Yes. That's how people want to feel respected and protected in the workplace. That's really,
look,
we just want to be equal.
I'm not saying bamboozle your customers, but he heard the price and he was okay with paying that. He purchased it. He liked it. He got, he just didn't get the cheapest option.
No, dude, no. That's exactly what, what everybody is hoping and dreaming for as a manager, to be able to have that, you don't fuck with my people, mentality.
I would die for that man. I'll say it.
Wow, that's incredible.
I would die for that man. If he ever wanted me to, I love my job now, but like if something were to ever happen, or if he needed me to volunteer for him one weekend or something, all he has to do is call me, bro.
Yes.
And I'm on my way.
Yes, exactly. And now you're able to share, like, and make other people make, like, there could be someone listening to this right now that is working at Michael's and is like, I'm not sure.
It's like, I know Bernard. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. You're right. I've heard some stories of like some stores, of course it varies store by store, but I do know company wide.
Yeah.
They like have implements in place to make trans people comfortable.
Yeah,
if they don't, you can report them. Like that's they're cool with the gays. That's why they're the, Hobby Lobby's bad, Michael's is good. Like
I see. Yeah. No, and I think people should keep that in mind too when they're going to like apply for jobs. Like a lot of places, like a lot of people that are in the queer community will want to apply for Starbucks, because it's known to be more inclusive. So I would definitely make sure that you're researching the businesses that you're looking to work at. If you have, like I know there's a lot of small, really small towns where you might not have that luxury of going through to pick them, but hopefully there's one, there might be a second one to do some research and be able to see like, will I be comfortable here? Is there any kind of reviews that I've seen like on this place? Do I have any like personal referrals to places that are already comfortable? So keep in mind of those things when you go to apply to these places, and try to be a little bit more selective, especially if you're a hard worker, because it seems like there's a lot of hard workers needed in a lot of different workplaces, and things like that. So prioritize what, you're feeling and how you're feeling, and make sure, yeah, just to keep working hard out there. I know it can be tough to be out there and in the dirt, working your butt off, and then also having to deal with all this other extra crap on top of it that shouldn't even necessarily be part of the equation. But I'm proud of you for handling it, and I'm proud of you that you're even here listening to this because you're clearly wanting it to be better. You're clearly wanting to manage this a little bit better by clicking this, and I hope we helped at least a teeny tiny bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, comment below if you've had like some experiences with good, bad work experiences, or if you have questions about being trans in the workplace. I will even link some things down below because I don't have them off the top of my head, but I will link a resource for you guys to be able to look into like trans resources or trans rights in the workplace. And
Yes.
yes,
I
love
do
you
know,
guys.
regardless of like what is like legal HR wise and stuff, I do know that retaliation is illegal. So you can
Right.
for sure report that. You know, if nothing gets done about your HR report and your boss retaliates because they find out that you're the one that did the HR report, you
Right.
can report that
That's
behavior as
1,000%
well.
illegal, right? Yeah.
Right. That's
Right.
definitely something you can report. So, you know, hopefully that's not a situation that none of you have to be in, but it's something.
That's something to keep in mind because some people do face those things. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do your research, do the research for in your area. I just be safe out there, people. We freaking love you. And we wanna keep encouraging that anything is possible.
Yes, the chest.
If you're on the YouTube, you can see the chests. Me
Oh
and
my
Bo are
God.
just living our best lives out here, trying to soak up our new chests, get used to it, love on them, see what's going on. Still digesting that we even got these top surgeries.
I know,
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh.
fucking wild.
I'm starting scar massages now, so I'm excited about that because I have one side that has like a big like chunk of like scar tissue, so I'm really trying to like massage it out and stuff. So I'm starting that soon.
Nice.
Loving it. It's hot, so I've been wearing my tank top, so everything's covered, but I'm like still feeling that affirmation.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I love that for you, bro.
thanks, dude. I hope that if you're listening to this, that you have a magnificent day. And if you need us, you know where to find us. And you'll probably hang out with us, hopefully, next Sunday when we drop the next episode over and over every Sunday. So
Every Sunday.
be there or be square. We love you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.